Here's your YouTube-style script, under 800 words, human-sounding, and in paragraph form with no channel intro. The question of whether Tommy and Angela are actually heading toward marriage has quietly become one of the most emotionally loaded threads in Landman right now, and that's what makes it so interesting. On the surface, their relationship still feels complicated, unfinished, and weighed down by years of baggage. But beneath all that tension, the show has been dropping subtle hints that their bond isn't just about surviving chaos anymore. It's starting to look like something that could move toward permanence, and that possibility changes how their every interaction feels. Tommy has always been driven by control, by deals, by pressure, and by the idea that he can outmaneuver any problem thrown his way. Angela, on the other hand, sees straight through the armor. Their connection works because she doesn't buy the image he presents to the world. She knows the cracks, the guilt, the exhaustion, and the fear he never admits out loud. That kind of understanding is exactly what makes a relationship either implode completely or evolve into something unbreakable. Right now, it feels like the show is standing right at that crossroads. Angela's presence in Tommy's life hasn't just been romantic. She challenges his values in ways no business rival ever could. When everything goes wrong at M-Tex, when workers are hurt, when secrets start leaking along with the gas, it's Angela who becomes the emotional mirror he can't avoid. She represents the life he might have chosen if ambition hadn't consumed so much of him. The closer they grow, the more obvious it becomes that being with her would require him to change in ways he has always resisted. The idea of marriage, though, feels especially heavy for Tommy because of his past. He doesn't just fear commitment in the casual sense. He fears what happens when you promise forever in a world that constantly takes things away. For someone who lives in risk, disaster, and moral compromise, the idea of tying himself permanently to someone means accepting that he could lose them just as violently and suddenly as he's seen others go. That kind of fear doesn't show up in big speeches. It shows up in hesitation, in half-finished conversations, and in emotionally guarded moments that say more than words ever could. For Angela, marriage represents something slightly different. It's not just about symbolism or stability. It's about choosing a future where she isn't always waiting for the next catastrophe to rip things apart. Her quiet patience with Tommy suggests she understands exactly how broken the world around him is. But patience eventually turns into expectation. The longer they orbit each other without a clear direction, the harder it becomes to pretend the question isn't hanging in the air. What makes the possibility of marriage even more complicated is the timing. Tommy's world is actively falling apart. Investigations, corporate crimes, rival threats, and the fallout from the gas leak have all turned his life into a pressure cooker. Getting married in the middle of that chaos doesn't feel romantic. It feels dangerous. It would mean inviting Angela directly into the blast radius of everything he's been trying to manage alone. At the same time, that danger is exactly why the idea of marriage feels so powerful. It would be Tommy finally choosing a person over the job, a future over survival, and stability over control. The show seems fully aware of how risky that would be. It doesn't paint marriage as a fairy tale escape, but as a decision that would force both of them to confront the reality of what they're building together. Right now, the signs point less toward an immediate wedding and more toward a slow, emotional buildup. The writers are clearly letting the tension breathe. They want the audience to feel the weight of what that step would mean before it ever happens. If and when a proposal does come, it likely won't be wrapped in joy alone. It will carry fear, doubt, relief, and the understanding that love in this world always comes with consequences. So are Tommy and Angela getting married? The honest answer is that the show is setting the emotional foundation for it, but it's not rushing there. Their relationship is being tested by trauma, secrets, and moral conflict first. And if they do eventually walk down that aisle, it won't feel like a victory over the chaos. It will feel like a fragile truce with it, one they'll have to fight every day to keep intact.